Record. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the OKRunShow, Season 2, Episode 1 here. We're back.
Mm-hmm.
We're maybe
We are
better than
so
ever. We're
back,
maybe as mediocre as
just like the
ever.
thunder.
Um, Shawn, man, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're back at OSU in a new
Back.
apartment with my boys. I'm here with Matthew Minton, if anybody can remember that name. That's some lore, but yeah, things are good. How about you,
How
Colin?
was your first day of class?
It was fine. I didn't have class today.
Oh, well,
I have a couple online. I have two in person. Honestly, we're gonna see.
easy semester, hard semester. What do you think?
Oh, well, the class that I need to take, like for my major, I have one more like psychology course. It's like the big one.
Mhm.
And I couldn't get into that this semester. It's fine, I'll just do it next semester, but I think it won't be too bad. And I'm kind of at a point where a lot of the classes I have left are a bunch of easy electives that you just have to take because it's college. So,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, you, man.
My day was fun. Woke up, went for a run. Went to my first class as a teaching assistant where I
Hmm.
literally it was the easiest thing ever. I literally stood there in front of the class and then teacher introduced me like, hey, this is our TA. If you have any questions, you can reach out to him. His office hours are when you can find him.
Hmm.
Um, and I just go, hey, and then leave, So I was sick, but then I'm stuck at the school forever because then I have a meeting and then I have my actual classes, which
Yeah.
are it's syllabus day, whatever.
Let me tell you,
Um,
this dang campus is so packed. It's
oh,
not gonna be
dude, it's
in like 2
awful.
weeks. I went to the
Biking.
library,
Um,
packed. It ain't gonna be packed in two
if you
weeks.
guys see me in a wheelchair, it's because I got hit by some freshman who's
Yeah.
driving their car and
Dadgummit.
I'm bicycling. Anyway, some meets have already happened. So this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the coming out of week one podcast. So Shawn, kind of what are some of those things that stuck out to you from this past weekend?
Yeah. We're gonna share my screen here. If y'all can see this, I hope. Colin, can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it. So I think the
Cool.
folks can see it.
Alrighty. So the main thing I'm thinking right here is Dominic Matthias. I hope I said your last name right. The 2 mile, he's from Moore. 9:44 is pretty dang good for cross country at this time of the year. It's a good time regardless. I don't, but
It's good on the track.
9:44 on the grass in August, and he beat some pretty
Yeah, some
big
really good
names, I'd
4A
say.
names.
Yeah. So that's important. I believe Moore is a 6A still, so
Correct.
be interesting to see how he matches up against some of those, other guys in 6A. But nonetheless, a great time. That was the main thing from this meet that I found that was worth talking about, frankly. I suppose Ava Tice from 11:52 is pretty good for cross as well. Um, I'm not going to try to pronounce this name right now, but good job to those ladies. This is the Lincoln Christian. This was a mile race, so obviously not
Maybe
anywhere
not
close.
indicative of how they'll run over 5K.
Yeah, but I did receive this is clearly a pretty fast mile for cross country on the grass, and 4:33.02 to 4:33.89 is pretty dang close, especially for cross. I feel like cross is a lot different because track you see a lot more pretty, times it'll be like 0.01 and then 0.12 or something very close. But in cross, it's not usually separated
Especially
by
not the winners.
7/10 of a second.
Yeah.
Um, in those top groups. So now, obviously, it's a mile, so it's a little bit shorter of a distance. That's more likely to happen. But to run 4:33 in August, when a lot of their training's probably been more distance heavy versus speed, is pretty dang fast. So those two, great job. Um, and then we got the big meet coming up this weekend would be Deer Creek. And so, Colin, you have any thoughts about Deer Creek?
Thoughts. I don't have many thoughts in my brain at this time of night. So, big things that kind of stick out to me is this is kind of our first chance to see new look Deer Creek. Obviously, they
Mm-hmm.
graduated a very strong contingent of athletes. So it'll be interesting. I also think, Mez Barth is kind of in the big three of the 6A returners,
Mm-hmm.
between him and Cam Langdon and Noah Thayer out of Mustang. They're kind of your big dogs. Like, so I think we could see kind of where's his fitness at right now.
Mm-hmm.
See if he's looking like, hey, he's taking another step forward because he took a step in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this will be interesting to see how strong Piedmont is. Piedmont might be able to make a run in 6A, especially with Deer Creek not as strong. Obviously, Mustang is, I think, we if everybody's healthy, they could look like one of the best teams to ever come through. Think
Yeah.
the Prime
They've
Jinx,
mhm.
last year's Deer Creek. I think they could be in that conversation if they play their cards right. If the guys had a good summer, nobody's hurt, they certainly have that potential.
And they
Some other
might be at this meet too. These entries are
potentially,
not finalized.
yes.
So if these change, I'll have an article or an Instagram post, probably both, by Wednesday, Thursday,
Mhm.
that it should be the final entries and we'll be able to like tell you more
Yeah.
accurately. But for now, these are the schools.
But also, if we move out of the big schools, out of 6A, move down, look at Zachary Rutherford, or not
Mhm.
Zachary Rutherford. I saw Madden Rutherford. I saw Zach's little brother and then Zachary Williams right on top, like right beside each other. But Zachary Williams, like that's your potential 4A state champion. You move down a couple names, you see Levi Haynes. Levi Haynes apparently ran a really strong time at Falls Creek on
Mhm.
the notoriously hard course, ran something. I know those are always stuff of legends, the things that have happened at Falls Creek, but he ran fast there over the hills. Like, hey, maybe has he taken a step forward?
Yep.
Could he mix it up with some of the 6A guys? You also have Charlie Ritchie who won that Lincoln Mile. You kind of get a who's who across multiple different classes, and that's really cool. Can you pop over to the girls? Let's see who the girls have. Um, up to the girls with where are we at? Okay, sick. You got
Right.
some? You want to go?
You got it, brother man.
All right, I'll keep ripping. So you get like Gwyn Myers, you get Piedmont, of course, they're strong. You got the Collins twins, you got the Caldwell twins. Like Piedmont, honestly, in 6A, I think it's really them and Owasso. Of course, we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get that matchup week 1 or week 2 or whatever you want to call it, but will be interesting. Kind of get a gauge of like, hey, where's Piedmont at right now? You also obviously get your Bishop Kellys of the world that are always good. And the North is, kind of, especially the last few years, have been very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's Deer Creek's home meet. They look like they return a lot more of their girls the girls are starting to kind of catch up to the guys a little bit. Like you see that with some of the great teams, like Northern Arizona, their men are always good, but the last couple of years, their girls are catching back up. They're starting to get,
Yep.
more relevancy. OSU kind of the same way. Like the guys have kind of always been good as a team, but now the girls are starting to make that step up to be, something. And I think Deer Creek's kind of in a similar boat. Is that historically everybody's heard of the Deer Creek men, but now the Deer Creek women are stepping up and crushing, and they look like they have a really deep team. But also like look at they've got 3 girls right in a row, like 9-14 or 1914 to like 1924 down there. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a recipe to win a state title when
Exactly.
you're 3, 4, 5 are that strong. So I think that could be interesting to see, especially on their home course. They're gonna have the familiarity factor, but like, hey, it's week 1. Let's see where everybody's at. Let's kind of lay it out there, and then everybody kind of goes back to, I don't want to say ducking each other, but a little bit. You might get some like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna go to this meet instead of this meet. Not really show our full hand, but you get an early season like, hey, who's who in the classes? At least in the OKC Metro, you don't get the Tulsa schools, unfortunately, not this early, but it'll still be cool.
And what is about this specific meet is that so many people, it's very fast. Almost
Mm-hmm.
every time there's personal best for many of the athletes. But so what's interesting is that these times that are on here could easily be improved upon by a lot come for this week. So
Potentially,
be
for sure.
interesting after this meet to kind of gauge, you know, who's who and who's gonna. And it's also, if you look at past results from this race, a lot of those athletes that finish in that top 5 finish in the top 5 at, so whenever. So I would say that whoever gets first at Deer Creek will place top 3 at state.
All right.
Okay.
Flip to, can you go to like just the calendar? Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
on mile split. I know we have the calendar right there. Can you go to the calendar? Let's see what other meets are happening because we might, be able to kind of use our knowledge and know kind of, hey, maybe some notable teams at some other events. So this will be the weekend of like the 24th.
I know Broken
Um,
Arrow is going to Tahlequah, so
yeah.
let me see if we got any entries for that. My computer's being a
Um,
bit, but could be something there. Might not have entries yet, though. Doesn't look like we do.
likely not. I know
Check
that's
this,
not,
but
you know, we haven't got everybody to do their kind of their whole setup through mile split. Hopefully maybe more people, especially in the coming years, kind of get more Guyman early season.
hmm
See where Guyman's at. They look strong in that 5A division this year. Um
that looks like pretty
is that
much
like
it.
pretty much everything? Yeah, Weatherford's got to meet. Not
Mm.
really other than
There's
Tahlequah.
always right here too. This is
Yeah, so
a
that's like
pretty popular
is
meet.
yeah, that'll be
Also,
next
it's a
week. Yep.
mile and a half, but it's
Yeah. Yeah.
usually fun.
My not hot take, it's like lukewarm take about cross country is I would rather it honestly be just awkward distances every single time.
Hmm
Like I
Yeah.
don't even want a standardized distance. I want like everybody just to make the best course they can out of whatever land they have available. And if it's a mile, if it's, maybe we have a cap at like 5K. It's like, oh, it could be up to 5K or it can be
Mhm.
up to 6K or whatever. And then like, hey, state is for sure always this one course. And it's like whatever the distance is, whatever the distance is.
And it's
And then
10
people,
miles.
and then yeah, dude, that'd be crazy. Well, then everybody would be making their regular season beats that long.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go too overboard. But I think it would be way more fun. And like, because that's the origins of cross country is like, oh, let's run from this field to that field over there.
Mhm.
Like I think it'd be fun. I think people should add very like I'll say obstacles, but like throw a hay bale down. If you
Yeah.
have somewhere that catches water, let it catch water. Like don't try to divert them. Make it a little interesting. I don't need it like dangerous, hazardous. It doesn't need to turn into steeplechase, but
Yeah.
having a couple little wrinkles in it. Hey, we have a hill here. Let's just throw it in the course. How can we loop that in? Make your courses fun. And I think at least my favorite courses that I've ever run are always the courses that have a little bit of character to them of like, ooh, this is kind of interesting. There's a little something different than like my least favorite courses are the ones that we just like loop around some soccer fields. We loop around some baseball fields and someone's football
Mhm.
field. Those are like kind of boring. But anyway, that's my lukewarm take of the week, I guess.
There
Uh,
we go.
Moving forward, kind of to the rest of the season, I started on figuring out all of the classifications, kind of refamiliarizing myself, saying, hey, who's back? Who left? What should we look forward to? And so I made a little article and I'm going to kind of read from it, skim through it, tell you guys about it. I just have the boys so far. Started it today, mostly finished it today. But I'm going to kind of rip through some of this and I will also share my screen so that you guys can see, also can kind of see some little inside baseball of what our side of mile split looks like because we're in the admin side. So this is what it looks like. Cool. I did top 20 returners in each class, and this is kind of our draft. Little intro here. Obviously courses can vary. So to limit kind of that effect of, hey, this course was short and people argue like, hey, that guy's ranked above me because the course was short. I just took state meets. I just took what did you do when it mattered on the day. Another thing is classifications just came out like officially. No, I'd be fine. Um, but classifications just came out. Everybody got readjusted. People moved classifications. Private schools went back to 2022, which cool. everybody's kind of reset, and then now they can kind of maybe move up if they have enough success. I don't remember the time frame that you need to have success over in order to move up, but you are no longer going to be moved exponentially more. Like Regent Prep is a Class A sized school. That is the size of school. They cannot go back up to 4A, but I believe they can only go, is it 1 or 2 classes above? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do
We
not.
had, I believe it was the Cassidy coach commented, giving some clarification, which we obviously always appreciate. People who maybe are interested are going to see it. That's cool. Also, another addition to this season is small school 2A got split. It was like 150 something schools. They decided to split it basically in half, have an A, a 2A. And kind of always the big problem with 2A was that like half the names of the schools there will not field a full team. That's the big kind of hurdle there. So they decided to change the scoring, drop to 4 scorers and up to 6 runners. So that being said, let's move into a little bit of a preview. So Class A, this is our newest class. I think team-wise, look for Sweetwater High School. They're out in Western Oklahoma in the boonies. They have been very strong the last couple years, but don't quite have the manpower. But they've got 4 really strong guys. Literally, they've got one at number 4, number 6, number 7, number 8 of the top returners from the 2A meet last year going into the now Class A meet. Your guy to beat is going to be Cannon Motley out of Hollis. He looked really good at the 2A state track meet over like 3,200, over 1,600, but he was only 11th last year in the 2A cross country meet. Moving on to 2A, little more spice in this one, as you have kind of your perennial favorites is Hooker. Hooker is super deep year in, year out. They always have 5 super strong teams. They don't normally have kind of the front end firepower that we've seen in the past in this division from like Lomega Ringwood the year they won. My high school, when we won, we had a little more front end than them. And the way to beat them is to have more front end strength. That being said, they have a new addition to this class, Regent Prep. Well, they came back. They were here in 2022, but then moved up they were here in 2021. 2022, they were in 3A.
3A in 2022. Yeah.
2022, they were 3A. Jeremiah Tangren, who I believe was dealing with, maybe know this more being a Tulsa area guy, but like, wasn't he dealing with some injuries and such?
Yeah, pretty much.
So he dealt with some stuff over since his 2022 freshman year being the 3A individual champ. That's pretty good. You win a state title as a freshman, usually good things come to you in the future. And then you also have Clay McKinney, who's in the same class as him, who was like 6th that year as a freshman. And then as a sophomore, he wins the 4A title over guys like Corbin Galt out of Perkins. You had Zachary Williams. You had Dathan Custer. Very strong contingent of runners. He managed to beat them and run 15:42. I think he's kind of, I hate to say heavy favorite, but Braden Cohen did look really good in the like 2A state track meet. They ran very similar times. Now Cohen was pushed in a lot more of those races than Clay McKinney was. Clay McKinney didn't really have a ton of competition in most of his races at the state track meet, but it could be a very interesting, both team race and individual race potentially. 3A, Levi Haynes is your guy to beat here. I think he's the strongest guy. He always gets better as the races go longer. He doesn't have a lot of foot speed, which he I think at OU, the 3,200, he led a lot of the early going in that race, really pushed the pace, really helped it go. But when you got to like the last 2 laps, you could see a clear, like, these guys can turn over, and he doesn't quite have that turnover. I think he's your favorite because 5K really fits him very well. Like, I think if he goes on to run in college, he'll be a 10K guy. He is that perfect mold of that. He's going to be a cross-country guy, high scorer for his team, and he'll be a 10K guy on the track. But I think there is some opportunity for guys to beat him. Landon Eubank out of Dixon had a really good freshman year, especially on the track, really kind of started to pop. I think, if he keeps that trajectory, there's potential that he can upset Levi Haynes. Also, Rylan Nofire out of, I believe he's out of Sequoia Tahlequah. He's your 3 800-meter champion. He was 26 seconds back from winning last year, but he's a 156 800-meter man. If he manages to get stronger from last fall, he beat Levi Haynes over the mile. 3,200 he didn't contest, so we don't really get a gauge there in the spring. But he's a 156 800-meter man. Nobody else quite has that foot speed in this class. I think if it's a mad dash down this finishing stretch, he wins it. 4A, Dathan Custer returns. I mean, he was 1546 last year as a sophomore. If he keeps his trajectory up, he's going to give Zach Williams a hard time to beat him. Zach Williams, of course, ran a really good 2-mile at 4A State, like spectacular 2-mile.
I believe.
Yes, 923. I believe Dathan Custer was like low 930 area at that same race. I think Custer, he's kind of a similar, like built more for the distance, built more, better as it goes along. But if Zachary Williams can have kind of his swan song of a senior year, he can beat Dathan Custer. But if Dathan Custer kind of keeps this trajectory, I mean, he was a sophomore last year. If he makes a big leap his junior year, tough to beat. He'll give Zach Williams a tough time. As a team, Lincoln Christian looks good.
Yeah.
Lincoln Christian looks very good, and I don't really see anybody that sticks out on paper to me so far. 5A, I like Rowan Myers. I like Rowan Myers a lot for this. Now, Charlie Ritchie, we've seen, he looks good. And where's Rowan Myers at? I don't know. He didn't race the first one. I have no gauge of his fitness. I've heard nothing. I don't know. Shawn, probably, have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything about him, no.
I have seen like pictures, I believe Lincoln Christian was posting where they did kind of a dual workout with Bishop Kelly, and he was in there running. So I'm assuming he's fit. They just haven't raced him yet, and no big deal. Rowan Myers is going to be this year's Trey Baker. I think he's got really great speed at 800. He's got the strength for 5K. I think he could do very similar things to what Trey Baker did last year, win a cross country state title, move on to the track, really do some big things there as well.
I agree.
Other than that, Guyman. Everybody always sleeps on Guyman every single year. It's the same story. I literally put this in here.
I remember.
It's the same story every year, and they have won 5 of the last 9 state cross-country titles. Now,
I remember
being a Western Okie, I will always go to bat for Team Guyman. And they've won 5 out of the last 9, and every single one of those times, I think most people didn't expect them to win. Every single time. And it's because they're in the Panhandle. You know, high school is tough. You don't always, like, your school board's not always going to let you go travel to OKC and Tulsa to race the other teams in your class. You got to stay local. And unfortunately for them, local means terrible weather because it's flat, it's windy, it's hot, and you're going to race smaller schools. So not always going to get the best athletes to race against. And if you do, you have to race them in sand, like it's awful racing. And so every year, a metro area school, namely Piedmont for some of those years there, mainly Piedmont was kind of the big one. There was a little bit of back and forth between them. It was very interesting at the time. And like, they go the whole regular season. They're like, man, we're, the metro school or Tulsa area school that's crushing it that year is like, yeah, we're going to win. And maybe they let off the gas a little bit. And they just don't think about Guyman. They're like, Guyman's run slow. They're done. They're cooked. They're not gonna be good this year. And then we come to the state meet and Guyman crushes. It's the same story every time. So I'm not going to overlook Guyman, but there's other teams that have a chance. I put Santa Fe South because they have like 3 guys.
Yeah.
They've got 3 guys right here. If they can find 2 other guys to match that pace, they find themselves in the top 5 as a team, potentially near the top of the podium, especially if other teams falter. Bishop Kelly, I will also say, looks good. 6A. 6A is, of course, going to be what we talk about most of the time. They're going to have faster times. We're going to be at their meets. We're going to talk about them. So I'm going to talk about them a little bit here. You've got a big 3, I think. You have Noah Thayer. Noah Thayer managed to beat Brody Woodcock. He managed to beat Dade Humes. He managed to beat a lot of like really good senior talent last year as a sophomore. He's a junior now. If he took a big step forward, it's hard to bet against him because he is the top returner. He was second last year. He only got beat by Zach Rutherford. Not bad. But he's also a like 153 800-meter guy. He's run 4:13 in the mile, and his 5K probably is going to take a step forward. And if he gets a good course and good conditions, of course, that time is going to drop. But I don't care about that because it's cross country. We're here for
I'm gonna
racing.
say something crazy.
Go for it.
Noah Thayer is gonna run 14:55 by the end of the cross country season. Book it.
That's not that crazy.
That's fair.
But anyway, you have it. I don't want to say clear top three. I put air quotes clear top three because Cam Langdon's very good. Mez Barth is very good. They were really good, especially over 3,200. Again, they don't quite have the foot speed that like Noah Thayer does. So that's where I'm going to give the edge to Noah Thayer. If these three guys are coming on the final stretch, I'm giving the edge to the 153 guy. Love Cam Langdon. Love Mez Barth. Think they're really good. Unless their speed has somehow vastly improved, it's hard to beat a 153 guy in a foot race to the finish. But very strong. I haven't quite finished 6A, the paragraph. It'll become much longer. Team wise, I think it's Mustang's race to lose if everybody's healthy. But one last individual thing I want to touch on for 6A is you have two freshmen that I actually believe can be top 10 guys, potentially even top 5 guys. There is the kid that's at Mustang who came out of, I believe, he's like Maple Middle School. And I believe now he's at Mustang. His name's Ethan. I don't know his last name. Brooks. Brooks sounds right.
Something like that.
But he ran like what, 4:30 something
Yeah, it was insane.
at mile night. I don't know what he's done over the summer, how fit he's looking. I don't know. Well, I'm being to be very interested to see. But he's on the team with Mustang, I believe, right? Correct?
Yeah. He should be.
Should be. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. But I think, having those upperclassmen that are going to pull you along as a young guy, that's great because he could potentially be one of the best, obviously TBD, but could be one of the best we ever have in the state. And having Noah Thayer, Cam Langdon, when you come in is a pretty good like stepping stone and guys to chase every day at practice. And then you have Matthias, Dominic, talking to people kind of from that area, like, dude, this guy's good. He won the 5K, right? Was he winner? No, he's second in the 5K, that like track 5K in OKC, the Tracksmith race. He was like second there, ran like 15 something. Very good time in the summer. He's very fit even now. We're seeing it. Does he continue to progress forward? I know Moore is not necessarily known for their cross country prowess. They've not been like a perennial, like, hey, we're going to win. They don't usually have teams that are like, pop on paper. But maybe, obviously, hopefully, I'm going to be an optimist here. He's going to keep going forward the rest of the season. He's going to crush. And if that's the case, starting out with a 940 something,
944.
944 to like a 1010 by Zach Williams. Now, maybe Zach Williams isn't fit, but Zach Williams is a 923 track guy in the 3,200. Yeah. That's a heck of a scalp to get as a freshman. And to beat him that handedly, like a 25-second win, like as a freshman, that's phenomenal. I think he put on like his Instagram that he wants to run like 15:15 in the 5K, like first meet. Hey, go for it. I want to see this kid crush. Want to see it. But yeah, this is just the boys. I'm going to probably write the girls tomorrow, and then we're going to release them in the next couple of days. And it'll be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. And next week, I will pull up the girls' article, and I'll do the same thing. We'll talk really in depth. That's all for me. I don't know. Shawn, do you have anything else you really want to leave the people with?
Well, we got Deer Creek this weekend. That will be good. I will be there, and then Colin will be there. So, yeah.
Say
come
hello.
Say hi to us.
We'll have a
come
tent.
Say hi.
We should have a tent that should be on my porch tomorrow. So yeah, you'll see Shawn and I. You'll see our boss will be there. That'll be cool. You're gonna see the guy that tells us what to do ish. I mean, kind of lets us do what we think is best, but he's the head over like the region and over Texas. So very cool guy to see. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully it's as fast as people make it out to be. Everybody crushes, and we'll see you next week. I think maybe we'll see. I'll see what our schedules are like. I think it'll be better next week to actually get one of these going. We'll probably get both of us in person again. Now let me
Hey.
peace, everybody.